Welcome to our May 16th Environmental Board meeting. We just had our pledge and now we're starting the agenda. So the minutes we still need to get caught up. I'll try to get that ready for next month. Tree planting and Black Horse Park update. Andrew, anything you want to share from the last month?
Yeah, we got the native plant pollinator garden installed at Black Horse Park. All the trees that we planted there last fall are doing really well. And Rick just turned on the water today, so we've been hauling buckets down there, but now that the water's on, we'll be able to water much more easily. And yeah, I think that's it for Black Horse. We have one more event in Plymouth for the spring, and that's at Bicentennial Park. We're actually we're working with GlaxoSmithKline for one of their volunteer days. So it's like a full work day type thing. Where we're going to be planting a lot of trees, removing invasives, and caring for trees that we planted there before.
We have a date for that.
Yeah, that's Friday, May 26th.
Oh, that's okay. It's next week.
Yeah. And the good thing is their GlaxoSmithKline gives them like $50 or something per volunteer. So we might be able to use that to buy some trees or something.
Super. That's an exciting thing.
And do you have an idea how many trees you're putting in that event?
No, probably maybe 10 to 15. We've been Rick has been fine with letting us kind of replant that riparian zone. We're leaving some spots open so that people can access the creek or get up close to the creek, but we've been planting a lot of trees there on the New Hope Street side of the creek and the park. And we're just going to continue planting native riparian trees along that area.
Nice. Sounds really good.
Yeah, that park has been in disrepair for a while.
Yeah, it's great though. I mean, there's a lot of cool plants that just naturally grow there, and yeah, a little bit of invasive removal and planting will help. I mean, I've seen some pretty cool birds, and the creek is really interesting and stuff, so will help bring more wildlife there, I guess, over time.
There used to be so many deer there, but not anymore.
That's a good thing for our trees.
Yeah, I guess.
You're just
Yeah,
eating
they're
them
one
up.
of the trees. What about the groundhogs and
Yeah.
How did the deer help?
the deer hurt the new
Oh,
trees.
they hurt them. That's right.
Yeah. But we put a lot of like a sturdy fence on all of our new trees until
Right.
deer. Yeah, I always say we want to attract wildlife, but not deer wildlife. We want to attract.
There's not that many. When I first moved here, I'm from Philly. And when I first moved here, there was a heck of a lot more open space than there is now. I've been here about 21 years, so
So I guess Nick, thanks, Sandra. Good update. Good work you're doing.
yeah, that is fantastic. Anything on the grant front that you need any help with?
We haven't been looking for any additional grants. We got 3 this spring, but I think during the summer, because we don't have as many events when it's super hot out, we might start looking for more grants.
Let me know if you need me.
Thank you.
Maybe, I can, since I'm going to be retired at the end of June, if there are specific places, I mean, I've done grants for older adults. I'm a geriatric social worker. So that's where I know where to look for things, but I don't know where to start except for Penn Foundation. It's the only one I know of. So is there a specific keyword to log in, or do you use a specific search engine?
No, I don't really know how we kind of find. I find some through social media,
Mhm.
and other people just let me know, like word of mouth, like, hey, this organization has a grant that's coming up. But a lot of money's coming in for this kind of work because of the Inflation Reduction Act, and a lot of money's going into community forestry and funding for this kind of stuff. So possibly we're thinking about trying for a bigger grant from like the state or something.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, when I was on council, I knew all this stuff, but I've been off council for a while, so I'm not up on any of this stuff. So you guys will have to fill me in.
Yeah, every little bit helps. I think I've heard a lot of communities always say the grant searching and writing is always the biggest challenge. So people keep looking for dedicated grant writers, and it's
Right.
it's a rare find to get somebody who can really help us out. So if you have some experience, Maria, that'd be great. Thank you.
I've been writing for people. Why not write for the environment?
Yeah, sure. Leverage those skills. Um, so then our township day, I guess, did anybody have any, I know we talked briefly about coming up with any new thoughts for what to have at the table. Did anybody have any brainstorms that they wanted to share?
Yeah, well, I had talked about putting together a new poster on the plastic thing. So I haven't put anything together. I was looking back through some of the material. I mean, we had the, I guess, original reach out material. Eunice had done a really good, kind of more graphical representation there, and so I don't know. I was going to look at trying to reuse that. I was looking for more. Did you put together a folder on the plastic band that was specific to like communications? I couldn't find it as I was digging through emails.
Yeah, well, we've got our Google Drive for our environmental board. This happens to be the not sure why. Oh, here. So I guess not sure why I'm not getting the folder directory here. Oh, there we go. Environmental board.
Yeah.
So these are the various folders we have. So there's some plastics communications that we put together at the beginning down here in the survey and comms folder. A lot went into our studies and things like that. There's a issues overview document down here at the very bottom last February, a year ago, and then various iterations as we went forward. But let's also see if we have anything in our Township Day materials here.
I was looking to reuse some of that and create a poster for that subject, and then we can have one of the QR codes for that takes you to the survey, I guess.
Yeah,
And then maybe some other information. Besides that, I was kind of thinking, make it, you put on some questions on there, have a little like trivia or something on how many bags per person or something like that. Some of these facts that we put out, make them into a little bit of trivia throughout the poster. But besides
Yeah.
that, I haven't actually put anything together.
yeah, I was at the Country Green Fest, and the Country EAB had a spin wheel that made a larger version, and they had I guess you spun it and it had different materials around the edges, and then I guess the person was supposed to guess, what type of material recycling it was. So, but that would probably require us to get another spin wheel, I think. I know Eunice had a smaller one when we had that game a couple of years ago.
I mean, I'll check for my my other two posters. I already made the solar one and then the parks one.
Yep, right, we have those also.
Check and see what condition they're in. I'll let you know. I can do that tonight here or something.
And then the spreadsheet, we just had kind of a inventory of everything we had with us at the time. So we do have a poster here. They ask us about poster. I think I have that here. So we do have some things we can reuse. I can go through that and I'll send an email out with what I have. So yeah, whatever, if it's relatively straightforward to put together, I guess what do we have now? 2 weeks? Oh, wow. 2 weeks from this coming Saturday. I didn't realize how quickly at the end of the month. Is it really the middle of May already? Oh, boy. You don't want to do that. So yeah, we got 2 weeks, 2 weeks from this coming Saturday already, the 3rd.
Do the posters have like trivia on them, Andy? Is that what you were saying? Like, if you could cover the answers, for kids or people to kind of guess.
That's kind of what I was thinking with the plastic fan one. Have some questions and then just have the answers in micro font at the bottom or something. The solar one that I did 2 years ago is not trivia at all related, but and that wasn't quite as popular, so I don't know, maybe that one drops off.
This one?
It's nice and colorful. Yeah, that's the one. But the one that was pretty popular last year was took some pictures of the different parks around the township and just made a matching game out of it. So you have to match the park name with the picture. Yeah, just to
fun.
Develop interest in the parks and something to draw people in.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one, Andrew. So
what about having some native plants on the table? So, so people, know what's really native to, our township. I mean, I guess they could get cumbersome and dirty, but.
is there a good picture format of that, Andrew? Do we have anything that kind of defines Pennsylvania or our regional native plants?
Yeah. Were you thinking more of a poster or actual plants, potted plants or whatever?
I guess you aren't gonna be, you said you won't be able to make this event, right? You already have a conflict.
Right.
So I guess in terms of trying to keep it relatively easy on the rest of us, is a poster just as easy to draft some pictures that we can?
Yeah, I can put one together or yeah, find one online.
I might,
Best,
yeah, I
best,
might
Yeah.
still have a thing from my butterfly garden days. I might still have some of that laminated. I had some pictures from when I was working on the butterfly garden that I had, they gave us when we were, it's all laminated. I have it somewhere. I'll look for it. There's some native plants in there.
So I guess, yeah, some of this is mostly informational. People just come if they're interested to look at something. It's probably
Right.
not real easy for us to create a interactive. That's why that park picture game was pretty good, because at least it gave people a chance to kind of, move them around and try to guess which parks they were. I'm just trying to think, how do you make plastics fun? Just identifying recycling types and things like that. And I guess then the other offer that you'd made, Maria, was that you have this terrarium you can create, or if we wanted to create a handout or a prize at.
Well, it depends on what you want to do. I wanted to make a terrarium that we can give away at the end of the event, and have people maybe put their name on a piece of paper and their phone number or whatever you decide. I can make it. I hit a sale at Michael's and got some little critters, so I'm ready to make it if you want it. I just have to go get little plants.
And so we've had what do they call those gifts or lottery give outs? I forgot.
Raffles.
Raffles, right. People would come by each table and put their information in a cup, and then you're right, then we would draw a name from it. I haven't had a chance to reach out to Rick to see if they have anything like that organized for this year. They didn't do it last year, so maybe they felt that was more effort than it received. And since we only have 2 weeks, I guess I don't want to put a lot of burden on anyone. If you feel like you can pull that together, Maria,
Yeah, it takes me maybe half a day. I do a little bit at a time. I can get it done.
At least it would draw people to the table, right? And
Right. And for a chance to, especially if we're going to have little games and things like
chance to,
Andy and Andrew were mentioning. Yeah.
to win. So I guess it looks like it's down to I don't know about where Mike is in terms of his interest in coming out. So it's just Maria, Andy, and I didn't know, Maria, how much time do you want to put in that day?
I can be there for 2 hours.
Yeah, when we had enough people, we would kind of split it like that. And Andy, what's your thoughts on what your interest in time is for that week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there for a couple hours, and my son has enjoyed helping out with the poster and so forth. So
Your son was a great contributor to that. All right, so we could see what we can pull together. So right now, Andy, you're thinking maybe just pull together a few ideas on plastics or single-use plastics and make a poster.
yeah, I mean, go through the older material and then, like I said, take some of those things and turn them into trivia questions, and I'll just place them on a big poster board. Yeah.
And Andrew, were you interested in doing anything on the native plant pictures? Do you think that would be doable without too much work?
Yeah, I think like a poster that says maybe the top 7 native plants or top 5 native plants or whatever.
Sounds good.
And is there any like, even for awareness, is there any like these are the worst natives? Is there anything like that that you want to bring awareness to anybody? Is it worth mentioning? You know, if you see these
Oh, if they're invasive, you mean?
invasive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's another good option. Um, stop buying these or stop planting these 5 invasive plants like burning bush, barberry, like all those. Yeah, we could do that too.
So it could be something like, instead of these, plant these. or
Right.
Focus on these. So if you think that that's something that wouldn't be too hard to pull together. And B, do you remember the size of your poster board? I mean, that you use for the solar one. I mean, that seemed like a fairly,
I do it. Yeah, I mean, full size. I think it's like a 2x3 poster.
Yep. that 2x3 sounds like a familiar,
That's the normal poster board, yeah.
format. Okay. All right, well, if you two are willing to try something, we'll see what we have where we can reuse some of the existing. So don't push yourself too hard if it turns into too much work. Just we'll reuse what we have. All right, well, that's helpful. So good. All right, so then if it's the 3 of us, and you guys are willing to do 2 hours each, we could do it like, I think to set up, I have to get, somebody has to get there around 9. If we need to carry a lot of stuff in, like, I guess last year, you're right, I parked the car behind the table and I left it there the whole time. So I stayed the whole time. But if you don't want to be committed to be stuck in there, then we'd have to carry stuff in from the front parking lot to the table. But I'm glad to be in there the whole time to cover, and then you guys could come for the 2 10 to 12 and the 12 to 2 shift.
I'll have to come out. What I'll do is I'll come and bring the terrarium early so it's there.
Good point.
And then I can come back,
Okay.
for my shift, whatever
All right.
shift you decide. It's just that I can't carry a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. So
I'm not super,
can-
I'm not super strong, so.
No, I can meet you that morning, and maybe I could come over to your house, pick it up, and then I can go early because if I have to be in there at 9
Oh, okay.
or 9:30 or whatever, I could probably take it in for us and then, put the table together.
And then I can relieve you for a couple hours at lunchtime or whatever you decide.
Yep, whenever you decide, and when
Yeah.
Andy thinks he can do whichever shift he wants. All right, that sounds good. So we've got a semi plan.
So how are we going to do the raffle? How do you want to do that? Just pieces of paper, or do you want to get tickets? What do you want to do? You want to I can just do something on the computer and have slips of paper for people to fill out.
That's what we had a few years ago. They had pieces of paper people just filled out, and then
Okay. And then I'll cut them. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Then we had their phone number. We could call them if once we pull it
If
out.
they win.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we had a can or a cup or something like that.
Yeah.
Could pull it from.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right.
All
Good.
right.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have coming up here quickly. Time is just a flying.
Yeah, I can't believe it's 2 weeks away. I kept thinking it was farther away,
I
but you're
know,
right.
I was expecting to be a little longer
Yeah.
too. All right, good.
Could
So,
someone bring me up to speed on where we are with banning the plastic bags in Plymouth?
yeah, so we've put together all these communications and mailed them out. I think we're going to do one
remember.
more residential communication in July's sewer bill.
Mhm.
So I think we can send out one last update and then we can pull together the ordinance and present it to council to have it looked over and reviewed. And then if they think, worth going forward, then we would have the solicitor review it and then plan a public meeting. And then actually it could be just one of the regular council public meetings, the main public meeting, I think. I think you have to announce it. You have to have a certain amount of time
Right, you
to
do.
announce it, and then you have to plan for what date your ordinance will go into effect, and then what date you will be enforcing it. So you might start with implementing it at a certain date and then say, well, we're going to give people, 3 months before we start enforcing. So that's how some of the other townships are doing it. And I
We
think
didn't do, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. We didn't
no,
have to do a petition or anything, like have
no,
people sign anything.
No, I think it's pretty much up to council to decide that they are ready to do it, and then they just have the public meeting. They have to listen to everybody's concerns and comments. And then if they have a good feeling that the public's not totally against it, then they would go ahead and adopt it probably during that public meeting, or they would table it and say, well, we need to do a little bit more research on it. I think
Gotcha.
White Marsh is ready to put theirs forward, so I think they're planning the announcement, put it in the paper this June, I think, and maybe having the public hearing in July. So if we get ready to do the residential communication in the sewer bills on July, then we could say, we could use that month of August to evaluate any feedback we get from the feedback form. And then we could present the ordinance to council, let's say in September's meeting. And then if they're ready to go forward, they could make the announcement in October, have the public meeting in November, and then vote to adopt. So we could figure out what dates would be appropriate for implementation, I guess. Something like that. Rough.
Yeah, you have to give
rough schedule.
businesses
Yep.
you have to give them a lot of lead time for
And
sure.
then by that time, if White Marsh had already gotten it approved, we would have their experience to rely on, and council would probably feel more comfortable with that success. We've got West Norton that implemented it, I believe, beginning of this year. So we'll have a little bit of experience from them.
Sounds good.
Then I believe Ambler is in the queue, and there'll be a few others. So yeah, I think fall will probably be a good time because we'll probably have enough others that will have gone forward. Does that
Thank you.
sound reasonable,
Yeah.
Lynn?
Yes.
I'm not being too aggressive on my.
No, I think that sounds reasonable. I'll see if I can reach out to and see exactly where White Marsh is. They may have already published their intent to have public discussion on this. And I'm wondering if that's already happened.
Yeah,
would be great.
I thought I just talked to Rick Meller actually on the yeah, he said they authorized to advertise in June. And then they'll probably have their public meeting in July. So I think that's not too far off. So if they go forward with it in July, we could see what dates they pick. And then by September, when we put the ordinance in front of the council, we could say, here are the dates we project for implementing in Plymouth. And then we could kind of follow a parallel track.
Cool, that's great. Oh, so it sounds like you have late breaking news, later than I have, Bill, so that's great.
Yeah, I just happened to call him for their open space information. But yeah, good question, Maria. So yeah, we haven't really gotten any feedback. We only got one response from the business mailing that was mailed in January, and we sent out this apartment mailing, but there was only one response that I saw in the feedback form, and it really didn't say one way or the other. It just said, "Hey, I'm interested in hearing more about the progress." So we have a list of emails now that we can send to people. So when we put the ordinance forward, in September, we could kind of send a note to everybody saying, we're ready to, with the support of all these other communities in Montgomery County or in the region, we could then say, we're ready to, do this, follow a similar process in Plymouth. So I guess the other thing I did a little bit of prep. Believe I'm on the workshop agenda in June to talk about the open space. And so I put this draft deck up here. So I'll just go through it real quick for you guys to see if, and definitely feel free to go through it on your own time if there's additional feedback. So I just kind of echoed what Montgomery County Planner Ellen and Bill Hartman had shown us for the return on environment study, just to show that there are these 4 big categories of benefits, and just summarized their slides to show how that looks overall in terms of the big numbers. And then I just suggested this idea for, how this could benefit us. So right now I put these 2 slides together. These could be 2 separate slides, but really to kind of follow the Monco report. This is really the values that it does, the real estate values, the economic value, environmental benefits, and the recreational benefits. And then, maybe this is a bit better to break this up into 2 slides. So just follow this message from the big study message, and then talk about how this could help Plymouth, because we could use it for various projects that we don't normally budget for. So right now I just have these 4 categories, but if you think of other things that we could include in here, definitely feel free to add. So then I went to 4 different communities to find out how they've approached this referendum process. So we heard from Marla Hexter, a supervisor at Lower Frederick, a couple months ago. She gave us a report, and they had a citizen group lead the effort rather than their council or supervisors. And they also engaged the Natural Lands Trust or the Heritage Conservancy to help build their pitch for why they wanted to do this. Now they have a lot more open space than we have, and they were trying to protect some farms and areas from being developed. So I think there's a different focus when you've got that much land and beauty that draws people to say, yeah, that's a value to us. So I think now that we kind of think, what's our approach for what's the advantage for Plymouth? We can preserve small tracts and we can add to our existing parks, but there is no like one winning property that we say we want to protect. So that's kind of a different focus for us. And I think I found that also when I talked to Westtown in Chester County, that they had this farm, Graybilly Farm, that the developers were trying to go after. So, when you've got something that big, and you see how development will change the character of your community. I think it's kind of draws people in and say, yeah, we want to afford to save that. Now he just gave me a little feedback here that he felt that, if you avoid development and you don't do as much development, then maybe it helps keep your taxes a little less costly because you don't have to put all that money into infrastructure support and operations needs, to maintain the roads, but we're fairly well built out. So I'm not sure how much it would save us besides from traffic, just the traffic congestion. But he did say even small tracts, even just individual lots or small pieces of property are still beneficial to save. So this is an example of their approach. They decided to implement it both as a earned income tax and a real estate tax. So they kind of hit both sides of the population, those that have income and those that have property value. I talked to Whitpain, or I actually just got an email from Whitpain because I realized that they just passed it last year during their primary in May of 2022. But what was interesting about was that the idea was proposed by staff. So I guess they felt maybe their ability to budget was not, prioritizing enough of, their activities that they wanted to do. And maybe they figured this would be a good way to leverage their revenue so that they could focus this particularly on the open space areas and parks, and then use their operational money for other needs. So and the supervisors were completely behind this. So each of the supervisors recorded this YouTube video to kind of show their testimonials for why they felt this was important to do for White Marsh. So that's a good example. Now they do have that Merriweather or Mariel Park? What's the park over there by the old farm? That was a place where they had a little golf course and there was a big. Is that the Mariel?
Mermaid.
Oh, Mermaid. That's it. The name was getting confused. Yeah, Mermaid Park. So there's another big property where they could get the community behind it because they wanted to kind of, have a different vision for that than development. But, after they held the town hall and it passed. So they increased their earned income tax by 600s. So their increase was only $40 per capita income average. And then White Marsh Township is the furthest in time. They did this in 2006, passed by 64%, but this was to help keep Jordanheim Farm for further development. Now the retirement community, was part of that. I guess that was starting to show the interest in that property. So I think they were able to get everybody behind it. So they increased their EIT by 25 basis points. So they are earning $2 million a year. And what it's let them do is Rick just mentioned in the last 11 years he's been there, they've been able to preserve 50 acres by acquiring these, 6 or so properties, with about $6 to $7 million that they've earned from all of that income. So those are 4 examples of different ways that it's approached. Most of them, I think, that have something big that they're trying to save. So I guess, for us to make the pitch for Plymouth, we have to think, is the appeal of trails and paths plan worth it for most people? So our current EIT is 1.1% of earned income, and our 2023 revenue from that is predicted over $8 million. So if we upped it by 0.1%, we could generate almost $800,000 a year. So our current 1.1% rate gives a person a bill of $1,100 roughly, and so this, if we did it 0.1%, it would increase it by $98 a year. So, White Marsh or Whitpain did $40 a year. I don't know if, $40 to $100 is going to be that difference of a concern. If we decide to go down the real estate route, we could figure out what the property value would be, median value, and we could calculate an amount on that too. So that's just one approach to kind of start thinking about how do you structure this so that you can make the most of your investment. So I just thought, we'd probably want to do another round on this to talk about, what would be reasonable amounts to recommend. And then how much time would it need to be advertised and communicated? Do we have a citizens group that's interested in this, or really this is initiated from us because of our interest in doing more parks and trails and property preservation that we might see? I think you mentioned last month, I think, Lynn, that the township acquired a property next to a community center, and I think there's probably a couple more that they want to acquire, so that could be a good use of it. So it's really just a talking point now, I guess. So I think this is what I've got just as a draft to go to council in the June workshop and just say, what do you guys think? Do you want us to pursue this? And should we go forward with this?
I think the deck looks great, Bill. I think that's you pulled together information, I think, in a very concise and helpful way. So I think that's nicely done. I like the idea of having residents sort of drive the process. Like, I know it's funny because I just had a conversation today with someone as well, and there have been two other, I can't say I've had hundreds or dozens of these conversations, but I've had conversations with 3 people who specifically wanted to talk about the fact that they didn't think our parks were as beautiful as they could be. And I know only a portion of this, I think like 20 or 25% could be used to maintain existing parks versus do new things. But I think, doing other things sort of falls into the same bucket, right? If we're doing other things that create beautiful green space and develop a trail system. And, I wonder if we couldn't get people who feel strongly about, how beautiful our parks are or could be to help drive this forward. Like, talk to their neighbors, talk to their friends. I mean, as council, we can do that and you can do that. But if we could sort of extend the reach of people who are helping to support this and talk about it and draw people into it, I think it would be really helpful.
Yeah, I
don't know
agree.
if I agree.
Yeah, and I think, one challenge that I think we've found in getting the word about the plastic bag ban out is that besides the newsletter, it's really hard, and the Facebook page, it's really kind of a challenge to think, are you reaching enough eyeballs? How many people pay attention to the public meetings? How many people look at the newsletter? Each of them have their own limitations on how far the reach goes. I don't know whether council has ever heard any ideas about whether putting together a communication system for residents that people could subscribe, and kind of make it a self-initiated mechanism. I think there are other townships where you can sign up and be informed of new township news, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe to be able to get in front of enough people, that would be a helpful approach. Has that ever been brought up?
Well, in part, yes. We have talked a little bit about enhancing the way we communicate. So it's actually one of the things I feel kind of like strongly about. Like, there are so many things happening, and it's so hard to keep people informed without just a million one-on-one conversations. Or like you said, we could post things and have people come to meetings or put them on a website. I think in the past, council members have made an effort to have a Facebook page, but then that becomes something that's in some ways really, it could be a little unwieldy to manage. I would love to engage others in the conversation as well about like how we can create better communication channels so people could find what they want when they want it without it being sort of a burden for someone to maintain like a social media page.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of an
There's
overall
a
goal.
really nice, White Marsh has like the White Marsh Weekly newsletter type thing with just updates and upcoming events and things to get involved with in the township. I don't know if there's anyone that could do something like that for Plymouth or.
Mhm.
And
Does that go out electronically, or is it like a push or a pull? Like people go get it when they want it, or it gets pushed to them somehow?
Yeah, it's you can sign up for the email blast, but they also post it on their social media pages and on their website, I think, as well.
do you remember where it might be?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it on their website.
Oh, here's notify. Here's something called Notify Me.
Hmm.
It looks like, yeah, you can subscribe to subscriptions with your email. How about that? I'll just go ahead and subscribe myself, see what I get. Oh, you can even get text messages on your phone. It's another way to, oh, here's some available lists. So you can get alerted to changes in the agenda, bid postings, calendar updates, jobs, newsflash. So there's news flashes. Okay, here's the choices going down here too. So do you have to select each? Oh wait, you have to probably get your email registered first. Oh, and then it gives you an option to get the email type and or phone. Okay, so I guess it starts us off. Oh, click on icon to subscribe. So if I want to get the monthly news. Okay, so it's you subscribe it to click and then unsubscribe it to click again. And if you unsubscribe, so right now I'm not subscribed. So if I want to subscribe to each of these, I have to subscribe. Okay, so I have to confirm my email. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of an interesting mechanism because then different boards, even the environmental board has an email distribution option. So I don't know if this is something that our IT could borrow from White Marsh and say, how'd you guys do this? And is it easy to plug in? Because hopefully these things are, something you can hopefully do on, it depends on what kind of web mechanism you have. I'm sure this website has its own rules and it might be different than Plymouth, but it's a kind of a neat idea, don't you think?
Looks great.
Yeah, love it.
Bill, at the top there under the community tab, there's the weekly e-newsletter sign up.
Okay, right here.
That's what I'm signed up for. White Marsh Weekly.
Wow.
A weekly news blast with like when we do tree planting events in White Marsh, they put it on there too, and people read it and sign up and stuff.
Nice. So yeah, Lynn, maybe this is something that would be hopefully not too hard for IT to replicate.
Yeah, I love it. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that, Andrew. That's helpful.
I get the updates from the community center almost every day. That comes, anything that's happening at the community center.
You remember how you signed up for that, Maria?
Probably on the website. But I get that all the time. I get it almost every day. I get something or a couple times a week at least.
Yeah. I think if you've ever participated in a community center event, you also end up on their list, and then I think they push other events out to you.
Maybe. I don't remember it. I've been on it for so long, I don't remember. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, here's a sign up right here. So down on this page, this is the main page for the community center. So if you scroll down, here's a click here to sign up for our email list to keep updated with.
Yeah, there it is, right.
Oh, and look, this sign up almost looks similar to the sign up that White Marsh used. So maybe if we're lucky, Len's already got this capability, and they could just add it to the township site if they've already got it for the.
Mhm.
Community center, yeah.
Well, that was an interesting detour that led us to new ways to communicate. So, I
Yeah.
think you're right, Lynn. So to be able to get this idea of preserving open space and making the case to really get people engaged, to say $100 a year is not that much if we can start to develop a trail plan or parks and do more riparian buffer. I think didn't you mention one time, Andrew, about stream repair, that you could see that there could be cases for repairing our streams?
Yeah, definitely. At Harriet Wetherill Park and Bicentennial, there's a
It
strip,
is stranger.
lots of space for vegetation improvements.
And not to get too far off track of learning from other townships, but as I was looking up that EIT information, I found it by going to Whitpain's budget. So anyway, the first one I looked at was their 2022, and what I liked about their annual budgeting process is they go through and they show what they've accomplished in the prior year. So this was November 2021 for the 2022 pitch. But what I liked here was that there was something else here. Sorry. Okay, here are these grants they applied to. So they won all these grants, and they say they've received $5 million worth of value by engaging in all these plants. And one of them that caught my eye was they got $196,000 to develop their own trail underneath the Pico line, and that's a pretty significant amount. So
There is.
the question is, what percentage of that do you have to self or contribute to get the grant? What percentage? But there's another case for saying that the open space fund monies could be used for grants. A couple others they got here, another one for MICA 2040, DVRPC to fix a bridge, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a good case for using different revenue source or money sources to be able to help yourself. And then I kind of like this, this is the trick that we've been facing, because we asked to start trails and it's not a high enough priority, but you've got to prioritize all these things as you're working on the budget. So it goes into a very good case. So here's was the adjustment for the open space. Now, after talking to Rick Miller about this 25%, that currently the state bill says that 25% can only be used for land that was acquired from the open space fund. So you'd have to get the open space fund working first, start to acquire new land, and then you could use the 25% on that. But it doesn't sound like right now that you can transfer that and use that on existing parks that you have. Now, he said that there might be some movement in the legislature to kind of make that more flexible. But right now it's limited to just what land you've acquired through the open space fund. So this was their timeline for getting the EIT. So they authorized the referendum in December. And then they advertised in January that year. And then they said if approved, it would appear on last May's primary. So this is kind of their flow chart for how this happened. So I think then the rest of this is just going into the detail of where they have money needs and things like that. But I thought this was a pretty good deck in terms of the budgeting process to help people understand what your challenges are that you're facing. And I think the 2023 deck was a little bit lit. It didn't, since the open space had already been anyway, I did have the 2023, I did find the 23 deck. Oh wait, that's the one I just opened. There it is. They go through the same values thing. The EIT passed, and then they projected they were going to earn $640,000 a year. When I calculate it, it's more like 570. But anyway, they're just off a little bit on that. Oh, they just approved their Ready for 100 last year, and they formed the EAC. I think then they show the grants here. So here last year they got 7.9 million worth of value through their grant process. So some solar work, and then other. Here's the Pico Line Trail. Well, this is kind of double booked because it was on the previous year. So, oh, here's some of the grants that they talk about. All right. So anyway, so, you know, maybe there's some stuff we can beg, borrow, and steal from our neighbors to help us in our efforts. So any other discussion on the open space? Maybe I'll see what council says
Great job there.
at the June workshop, and we'll see how far it goes. All right, so I really don't have anything else new. I mean, this is really just a placeholder for when we get back to our energy transition plan. I just kind of kept it in here. So there's really no other new business on this agenda. Andy, do you have second thoughts about the Township Day now that you've had a chance to reflect on only having 2 weeks left?
Well, I don't think so.
I'm giving Andrew and Andy a chance to retract their commitments.
Well, I commit to bringing the existing poster.
All right, that's fair. I'm happy with that. We can definitely reuse. I don't think too many people are gonna be aware that, oh, I saw that. Actually, right, because if it was the solar one, that was 2 years ago. Last year was the park, so
I think I brought the solar one. I think that was hanging up there last year too much, but we've 2 years and I don't think anybody's really paid much attention to it.
Yeah, I don't think it's too old.
Yeah, I did find them and it looks reasonable condition. And they are 2 by 3 feet.
Okay, cool. All right, well, that's good. Oh, let's just take a look what happened to our Facebook post. So Brandon put the communication, the plastics communication, so we'll see if that draws any. We did get 2 likes. How about that? I thought this was going to draw somebody new to attend our meeting, because she said, she wanted to attend the EAB meetings, but never got the information. So Brandon told her to go to the website. And he did put us up here, so in the future, he's done it in the past. I think we just missed last month or the month before, and it wasn't posted on the main page, but we can make sure that does get updated. And then this is Andrew's information on tree planting, and we got a couple likes there. Canopy trees, and then Andrew. I do that.
Yep.
I do that myself. I'm a liker of my own stuff too. And then here's the okay. This is the other post on the canopy trees from March. So and then we have our original plastic bag information from a year ago, and this was our original early communication from a year ago. We had an electronics event from that year before, the township. Okay, we can put a post up for Township Day. Yeah, how about I'll ask them to put the Township Day post up. So good, yeah, but anything you think of that you want to make mention of and engage the public with would be terrific. So that's all from this end. Anybody else have any other topics they wanted to bring up? All right, we'll close up shop a little early.
Okay,
And so all I need is a motion to close.
I make a motion that we end the meeting.
And a second. From Andy. Great. Well, thanks all, and we'll be in touch in the next 2 weeks before Township Day.
Yeah, we'll see you at Township Day.
All right.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Yeah.
Bill.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill, for everything.
Sure.
Bye.
Great
Thanks,
weekend.
Bye.
Andrew.
And
Andy.
Lynn, I just want to let Lynn know, I don't know if you were on when Maria offered to create a terrarium, is it, Maria?
Terrarium. I'm going to make a bold terrarium for a raffle prize for the table.
Oh, that's awesome. I was not on for that. And sorry I'm late. Sorry I was late tonight, but that's amazing. Maria, thank you for offering. That's very cool.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty generous also. And Maria, I think I can ask Rick for reimbursement, so your supplies get covered if you'd like.
We'll see.
Yep, okay. Sounds
It
good.
can, it can, it can't.
Yep, no, I understand. All right, really appreciate it. All right.
All right.
Good to see you all. Take care. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Yeah.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye,
night.
everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
Township Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.